What can I do if my visa application is denied? Okay, so this is kind of a big question, but there's two different ways that the answer can go. It really depends on the reason for the refusal. If your application was refused 221G, which means refused for administrative processing, it may have been that there was something missing at the time of the interview, and so a final decision for the adjudication, yes or no, couldn't happen at that time. Perhaps you forgot to bring a key document. Perhaps you weren't able to demonstrate your financial ability to cover the costs of your educational program. And you have that evidence, but you still need to submit it because you didn't bring it to your interview. So if your application is refused for administrative processing, it may simply be the case that there's something else you need to submit. Typically, you would submit it by email, and with that information, a consular officer could ultimately finalize and close the case, making a yes or no decision. If the case, however, is refused 214B, that section of our immigration law could either come from an intent to immigrate or possibly an applicant for a visa class or category that they weren't qualified for. In that event, if you're interviewing for a student visa and you find that you're struggling to understand the consular officer's questions or you're struggling to respond in English and you know English is required for that particular study program that you're applying for, it may be the case that your application was refused because of your ability to demonstrate sufficient fluency in English for your program. Perhaps the issue was finances. Another thing that is required for the student visa application process is an ability to demonstrate that you can cover the costs of the program, the entire program, but particularly the first year, and then you have a plan to cover the costs for additional years. That's something that has to be established at the time of the interview. If you're unable to establish that, either because the finances aren't there to cover the cost of the program, or you simply can't demonstrate that either verbally or with any kind of documentation, then in that case, it could be refused 214B as well. It's really a case by case situation. Every interview is unique. Every visa applicant is unique, and the consular officer has to make a decision if they overcome 214B and are therefore qualified for that visa, or whether they do not, or it wasn't able to be established credibly at the time of the interview. So, what is your next course of action? If you're really committed and driven to study abroad, then I would say don't give up. Reflect on your visa interview and think about why it was refused and what can you do differently next time. If it's a matter of finances, can you solicit scholarship funding or student loans through a formal process? If it's English language as a barrier, then what can you do to redouble your efforts and bring your English level up so that you can have a great visa interview and demonstrate that you're ready to be successful in that study program? So if you're refused 214B, give yourself time to reflect. It may simply have been that you were nervous and you need another chance. If it's something more substantial, give yourself time to be able to really demonstrate in your interview that you're ready to be successful in that program. Good luck.